Solomon. How are you today? So we begin our final week together as a third grade class. And after this week, I'm smiling because you are becoming fourth graders. In fact, you've been becoming fourth graders all year long. And I'm so incredibly proud of you that I rave about you to all of my family members. So let's make this week special and memorable, and let's treasure the time we have together. To begin with, we have a way of looking at online classes this week. On Monday and Tuesday, you will be presenting your change projects during our online classes. So I'd like every member of 3JS to join us on Monday at 10:30 and Tuesday at 10:30. And I will begin with the kids who have turned in their projects and then open it up to anyone who is ready to share, or maybe you'll share with me at some point between now and our meeting. So I want to celebrate you guys. I want to give you your time and attention you deserve for the wonderful things that I see you doing. So Monday and Tuesday, you will present your change projects. And on Wednesday, I have a special invitation for my dear class that I love so very much. I'm going to be at Manor Park by the gazebo. I know there's two gazebos, but you'll find me, the one that's kind of prominently by the water. And I'm going to have a picnic blanket. And between the hours of 2 and 4 o'clock, I will be there to say socially distant and safe goodbye and farewell to you and wish you well in your summers and in your endeavors in fourth grade. And I also have an end of year gift for you. So if you come by between 2 and 4, you'll find me. Hopefully some of my kids will keep me company, and I have something for you. And I really look forward to seeing you in person and ending the year as it should be, us being together. So what is the plan for today? So this week, the workload is light. It's for you to enjoy. So you have the opportunity of visiting our virtual classroom and clicking on the links and exploring what there is for you to find. In addition, there is a gym Power Olympics class, as well as a mindfulness opportunity to really pay attention to the food that's on your table and eating it piece by piece, really enjoying it. And there is Zern Mission 7, Lesson 6 as well. And I'd like to read to you 2 chapters from The Tale of Despero. Chapter 48, On the Tail of a Rat. Have you ever had hold of the tail of a rat? At best, it is an unpleasant sensation, scaly and cold, similar to holding onto a small, narrow snake. At worst, when you are dependent upon a rat for your survival, and when a part of you is certain that you are being led nowhere except to your death, it is hideous sensation indeed to have nothing but a rat's tail to cling to. Nonetheless, Despero held on to Botticelli Rimorso, and the rat led him deeper and deeper into the dungeon. Despero's eyes had by this point adjusted quite well to the darkness, though it would have been better if they had not, for the things he saw made him shiver and shake. What did he see? He saw the floor of the dungeon was littered with tufts of fur, knots of red thread, and skeletons of mice. Everywhere there were tiny white bones glowing in the darkness, and he saw in the dungeon tunnels through which Botticelli led him, the bones of human beings, too, grinning skulls and delicate finger bones rising up out of the darkness and pointing towards some truth best left unspoken. Despero closed his eyes, but it didn't help. He saw as if his eyes were still wide open. The tufts of hair, the knots of thread, the despair. Ha ha, exactly, Botticelli laughed as he negotiated the twists and turns. Oh yes, exactly. If what was in front of Despero was too horrible to contemplate, what followed him behind him was perhaps even worse. Rats. A happy, hungry, vengeful parade of rats. Their noses up in the air, sniffing. Here's an image. Oh my gosh, what are we seeing here? That's Despero closed his eyes, and he was holding onto Botticelli Rimorso's rat tail. Mouse, sang out one rat joyfully. Yes, oh yes, mouse, agreed another, but something else too. Soup, called out another rat. Yes, soup, the others agreed. Blood, sang a rat. Blood, they all agreed together. And then they sang, here, mousy, 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 here, little mousy. Botticelli called out to the other rats. Mine, he said. This little treasure is all mine. Gentlemen and ladies, please, I beg you, do not infringe on my discovery. Mr. Remorso, said Despero. He turned and looked behind him and saw the rats, the red eyes and their smiling mouths. He closed his eyes again. He kept them closed. Mr. Remorso, he shouted. Yes, said Botticelli. Mr. Remorso, said Despero, and he was crying now. He couldn't help it. Please, the princess. Tears, shouted the rats. We smell tears, Mousie. We do. Please, shouted Despero. Little friend, said Botticelli. Little Despero Tilling, I promise you, and I will keep that promise. Look ahead of you, he said. What do you see? Despero opened his eyes. Light, he said. Exactly, said Botticelli. Light. Chapter 49. What do you want, Miggery-So? And we're going to read this chapter before we close this video today. Again, reader, we must go backward before we go forward. We must consider for a moment what had occurred with the rat and the serving girl and the princess down in the dungeon before Despero made his way to them. What happened was this. Roscoe led the Pea and Mig deep into the dungeon to a hidden chamber, and there he directed Mig to put the princess in chains. Gore, said Mig, she's going to have a hard time learning her lessons if she's all chained up like. Do as I say, said Roscoe. Maybe, said Mig, before I lock her up, her and me could switch outfits so we could start in already with me being her and me being princess. Oh, yes, said Roscoe. Certainly a wonderful idea. Miss Miggery Princess, take off your crown and give it to the servant girl. The Pea sighed and took off her crown and handed it to Mig, and Mig put it on, and it slid immediately right down her small head and came to rest quite painfully on her poor abused ears. It's a biggish thing, she said, and painful like. Well, well, said Roscoe. How do I look, Mig asked, smiling at him. Ridiculous, he said. Laughable. Mig stood, blinking back tears. You mean I don't look like a princess? She said to the rat. I mean, said Roscoe, you will never look like a princess. You, no matter how big a crown you put on your tiny head, you look exactly like the fool you are and always will be. Now make yourself useful and chain the princess up. Dress-up time is over. Mig sniffed and wiped up her eyes and then bent to look at the pile of chains and locks on the floor. And now, princess, he said, I'm afraid that the time for your truth has arrived. I will now tell you what your future holds. As you consign me to darkness, so I consign you, too, to a life spent in this dungeon. Mig looked up. Ain't she going upstairs to be a serving maid? No, said Roscoe. Ain't I going to be a princess, then? No, said Roscoe. But I want to be a princess. No. One, said Roscoe, cares what you want. As you know, reader, Miggery-So had heard this sentiment expressed many times in her short life, but now, in the dungeon, it hit her full force. The rat was right. No one cared what she wanted. No one had ever cared. And perhaps, worst of all, no one would ever care. I want, cried Mig. Shh, said the princess. Shut up, said the rat. I want something. I want. What do you want, Mig? The princess said softly. Shouted Mig. What do you want, Miggery-So? The princess shouted. Don't ask her that, said Roscoe. Shut up. But it was too late. The words had been said. The question at last had been asked. The world stopped spinning and all of creation held its breath, waiting to hear what it was that Miggery-So wanted. I want, said Mig. Yes, shouted the Pea. I want my ma, cried Mig into the silent, waiting world. I want my mom. Oh, said the princess. She held out her hand to Mig. Mig took hold of it. I want my mother, too, said the princess softly, and she squeezed Mig's hand. Stop it, shouted Roscoe. Chain her up. Gore, said Mig. I ain't going to do it. You can't make me. And here's a picture of the princess saying to Miggery-So, what do you want? I got the knife, don't I? She took the knife and held it up. If you have any sense at all, said Roscoe, and I hardly doubt you do, you will not use that instrument on me. Without me, you will never find your way out of this dungeon, and you will starve to death here, or worse. Gore, said Mig. Then lead us out now, or I will chop you up into a tiny little rat bits. No, said Roscoe. The princess shall stay here in the darkness, and you, Mig, will stay with her. But I want to go upstairs, said Mig. I'm afraid that we are stuck here, Mig, shouted the princess, unless the rat has a change of heart and decides to lead us out. There will be no changes of heart, said Roscoe. None. Gore, said Mig. She lowered the knife. And so the rat and the princess and the serving girl sat together in the dungeon As outside the castle the sun rose and moved through the sky and sank to the earth again, and night fell. They sat together until a candle had burned out and another one had been lit. They sat together in the dungeon. They sat and sat. And reader, truthfully, they might be sitting there still if a mouse had not arrived. And I'm going to leave you with that note. And tomorrow I will complete this book reading chapters 50, 51, 52, in which the princess says his name. Goodbye for now, my loves. I will see you soon in our Google Classroom. Bye, guys.